She said it like a verdict. If you're so smart, then pay your own bills. The room still smelled like burnt toast and old arguments. The ceiling fan rattled like it always did when she was angry. I remembered the exact angle of her chin, tilted up, daring me to defy gravity. My suitcase was already half packed in my head before she finished the sentence, not because I'd planned it, because something inside me clicked shut. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I nodded once, like a defendant accepting the sentence. Then I went to my room and started folding shirts with surgical precision. Each fold was a goodbye. Each zipper sound was a door locking behind me. She followed me down the hallway, still fueled by the heat of her own words. She expected begging. She expected tears. She expected me to crack. I didn't. I walked out that night with 2 bags and a silence that felt heavier than anything I'd ever carried. She didn't stop me. Pride stood between us, wearing her face. I slept on a friend's couch. The springs complained every time I shifted, but for the first time in years, my chest didn't feel compressed. I stared at the ceiling and listened to the city breathe. Somewhere between the hum of traffic and the buzz of a broken streetlight, I realized something important. She thought she'd won. I wasn't always the enemy. That's the part she forgets. There was a time when I was the golden solution, the dependable one, the "you're good with numbers, help me with this" kid, the human patch she used to fix leaks in her life, bills, passwords, phone plans, internet contracts, electricity, water, anything that required patience and precision somehow landed in my lap. "You're smart," she'd say then, not as praise, as utility. I believed her. I thought being useful meant being loved. I thought competence earned safety. After my father left, the house changed shape, not physically, emotionally. Rooms grew tight, conversations shortened, laughter became conditional. Money turned into a weapon that sat on the table between us, loaded. I stepped into the gap without being asked. I optimized, budgeted, negotiated with service providers who spoke in circles and late fees. I set everything to autopay from my account because it was cleaner that way, easier. I tracked dates. I knew when to call, when to threaten cancellation, when to sweet-talk a representative into waiving a charge. The lights stayed on, the water stayed hot, the Wi-Fi never dipped. She called it helping. I called it survival. And slowly, quietly, it became expected. The betrayal didn't arrive as a scream. It arrived as patterns, a comment here, a dismissal there, the way she'd roll her eyes when I explained something she'd asked me to explain, the way my name became shorthand for inconvenience. "You think you know everything," she'd say, laughing, when I corrected an obvious mistake. "You're always acting superior," when I set boundaries. "You live here for free," when I paid in ways that didn't show up as rent. I noticed the shift before I understood it. I always do. I watch details. I catalog tone. I remember words. Then came the night of the argument, the night she finally said the quiet part out loud. "If you're so smart, then pay your own bills." The irony was sharp enough to cut. I was paying her bills. I had been for years, not out of obligation, out of habit, out of the dangerous belief that contribution could substitute for respect. But when she said it, something snapped into clarity. She didn't see what I did as sacrifice. She saw it as entitlement. That's when the planning started, not with rage, with calm. I don't lash out. I never have. I withdraw, observe, and then I act with intent. The first week after I moved out, I did nothing. On purpose, I let the systems run the way they always had. Auto-pay processed, accounts settled, lights glowed, comfort continued. I wanted her to feel secure. I wanted the absence of my body to feel temporary. I wanted her to believe the infrastructure of her life was independent of me. That's how leverage works. You don't pull it too early. I rented a small room across town. Clean, quiet, mine. I set up a desk by the window and placed my laptop on it like a weapon wrapped in plastic. Every night, I wrote lists, not emotional ones, operational ones. What was in my name? What required my authorization? What had my email, my number, my bank? It was more than she knew, more than she remembered, more than she respected. Week 2, I began the quiet exits. I changed passwords first, not to lock her out, but to reclaim ownership. I updated contact emails, switched two-factor authentication to my phone. I removed shared access for security reasons. All legitimate, all clean. Week 3, I rerouted statements. Paperless became truly paperless. Notifications came only to me. Late fees, warnings, thresholds. I saw them all before she did. I didn't cancel anything yet. I let the clock tick, because timing matters. She didn't call for 3 weeks. Pride is stubborn like that. It starves itself before it admits hunger. When she did call, it wasn't to apologize. It was to test. "So, how are you managing?" she asked, casual, like she hadn't slammed a door on me with words. "I'm fine," I said. "True." "Must be hard," she added, a hook. "I manage," I replied, neutral. She waited for me to offer help. I didn't. Silence teaches faster than lectures. After that call, I set reminders, not alarms, gentle ping. She didn't call for 3 weeks. Pride is stubborn like that. It starves itself before it admits hunger. When she did call, it wasn't to apologize. It was to test. "So, how are you managing?" she asked, casual, like she hadn't slammed a door on me with words. "I'm fine," I said. "True." "Must be hard," she added, a hook. "I manage," I replied, neutral. She waited for me to offer help. I didn't. Silence teaches faster than lectures. After that call, I set reminders, not alarms, gentle pings on my calendar. Electricity due, internet cycle, water billing window. Each one marked with a note, "Do nothing." The month rolled forward like a tide pulling away from shore. The night the power went out, I was eating dinner alone. Rice, chicken, the kind of meal that doesn't distract you from your thoughts. My phone buzzed once on the table. I didn't look at it right away. I finished chewing. I swallowed. I wiped my mouth. Then I checked. 3 missed calls, all from her. The 4th came through as I was still holding the phone. I answered on the 2nd ring. "Why is the power off?" she demanded. No greeting, no context, just accusation. I pictured the house in darkness, the refrigerator humming to a stop, the familiar panic rising in her chest, searching for a target. I didn't rush to answer. "I'm not sure," I said carefully. "Did you check the account?" There was a pause. Papers rustled. I imagined her standing by the fuse box, as if electricity was something you could intimidate back into existence. "It says overdue," she snapped. "That can't be right." "It is," I replied, calm. "The autopay was from my account." Another pause, this one longer, heavier. "Then why wasn't it paid?" she asked. This was the moment, the fulcrum, the line where everything balanced. I spoke slowly, clearly, like delivering a diagnosis. "You told me to pay my own bills." Silence crashed through the line. I could hear her breathing, shallow, disbelieving. "You moved out," she said, as if that explained everything. "Yes," I agreed, "and I took my responsibilities with me." Her voice dropped. "You did this on purpose." "No," I said, "I did exactly what you asked." The truth has a way of feeling like betrayal when you're used to control. She yelled then. She accused. She rewrote history in real time, claimed she'd never meant those bills, claimed family doesn't keep score, claimed I was punishing her. I let her talk. I always do. People reveal more when they think you're silent because you're weak. When she finally stopped, waiting for my apology, I gave her none. "I can send you the account number," I said instead. "You can set it up in your name." "What about tonight?" she demanded. "That depends," I replied, "on whether you want to start handling your own finances." She hung up. I didn't feel triumph. I felt alignment. The fallout wasn't loud. It was administrative. The internet followed 2 days later, then the water bill warning. Each interruption forced her to confront the machinery she'd ignored because I'd oiled it for her. She tried calling again, softer this time, then sharper, then pleading. I never blocked her, I never mocked her. I responded like a professional. Here's the number, here's the process, here's what you need to do. And when she asked, quietly now, why I was being so cold, I answered honestly. "I'm not cold," I said. "I'm independent." That word hurt her more than any insult. The confrontation came a week later, in person. She showed up at my door unannounced, eyes rimmed red, hair pulled back too tight. The hallway light flickered like it always did. Some things don't change. "You think you're teaching me a lesson," she said. "I'm teaching myself one," I replied. She stepped inside, looked around my small room, noticed the order, the calm, the absence of her. "You've changed," she said. "Yes," I agreed, "I had to." She sat down heavily. For the first time she looked tired instead of angry, smaller. The power imbalance had shifted, and she could feel it. "I didn't think you'd actually leave," she admitted. "That was the problem," I said. We sat there, the air between us thick with everything we'd never said. I didn't reach for her hand, I didn't offer comfort, not because I hated her, but because rescuing her again would erase the lesson. "I raised you better than this," she muttered. "You raised me to survive," I corrected. "This is what that looks like." She left without another word. The resolution didn't arrive as forgiveness, it arrived as respect, begrudging, fragile but real. She learned, she had to, she paid her bills, she asked questions before making decisions, she stopped assuming my silence meant consent. Our relationship changed shape again, this time on my terms. I didn't win by humiliating her, I won by stepping away, by letting consequences speak, by choosing myself without theatrics. Justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it flips a switch and lets the dark do the talking. And when the lights finally came back on in her house, they stayed off inside me, where guilt used to live. I slept that night with the window open, city air drifting in, calm, quiet, mine. She'd told me to pay my own bills, so I did. And for the first time in my life, everything balanced.